Good morning, good morning, good morning. What's up, folks? Oh, whoops. Let's try that again. There we go. I don't know why my mic was on mute. Good morning, good morning, good morning. What's up, folks? JT here with another Chart Talk Live. I hope everybody is doing well. It is Tuesday, November the 4th. Sorry for the last minute cancellation of last Thursday's stream. I didn't realize that my follow up had been scheduled with my neurosurgeon for last Thursday. Apparently, my wife knew that, but I didn't. Sorry for the last minute late notice on that cancellation, but I did have that follow up create a little bit of a conflict for me. But it's good to be back, and I shouldn't have any more conflicts, at least not for the foreseeable future. So we should be back on our regularly scheduled programming. I hope everybody's doing well. Let me get my screen sharing started for Discord. What's up, Navy Plum? What's up, New Trader? What's up, Jay? What's up, Serge? Hope everybody is doing well. All right, let me get my screen sharing going here. There we go. You guys should be able to see that. All right, so let's talk about ESC. What's going on here? Shares, thoughts on ASST and beyond. Sure, yeah, we can take a look at those. I know those are hot names for short squeeze, Wall Street bets, all that kind of stuff. And I think, doesn't Beyond have a earnings report coming up here this week? Or soon. I'll check that out. But yeah, we'll take a look at those, New Trader. Happy to do that. All right, so let's dig in. We'll take a look at ES here, see how things are shaken out, and give us some sense of kind of how we should be leaning with our bias going into the trading day today. We'll work on some new trade plans and, of course, do some trade plan reviews. So if you guys have any questions or any tickers that you'd like me to take a look at, just like New Trader's done, please feel free to drop those in the chat. I'm happy to take a look at as many as we possibly can before I need to break away to start working on the daily SPY plan. All right, so what are we seeing here on ES? Pretty significant pullback. Yeah, overall market, let's talk about it, right? So market's pulling back quite a bit here. It did tap one of our extension targets up there at 69.51. Seems like we stalled out. We were watching that level for quite some time going into the week last week. So 69.51 did tap. Looks like we found a good top there off that extension. We're now pulling back. We're back below the 333 SMA. And not only are we below it, but it looks like when we're back testing it, it is also rejecting below VWAP here this morning. Things starting to roll over, flipping bearish here on NTS. So I would certainly say, and we filled that gap and continued down. That's not a great sign. You'd like to see the market bounce on those gap fills. I would definitely be watching 68.51 as a potential recovery level. If we can break back above that, we could see ES try to push back higher and recover some of this downside move that we've seen over the last few trading days, but things not looking promising right now at the moment, at least for now. I would say, let's take a look at this. Let me give myself a little bit more chart real estate here. Yeah, I would say somewhere around this, whoops, didn't mean to do that. What is that? 67.15 level in this little range right here between 67.15 and 66.80. Watch those as potential buy the dip areas. Be very cautious with that. Don't load heavy because we could see an even further pullback beyond those levels if they don't hold nicely. So just some things to keep an eye on. But right now, I would certainly be leaning a little bit bearish. At the same time, don't FOMO, don't chase bearish moves to the downside. Make sure that you're methodically picking your entry points, trying to short some tops and things like that, or short the rips if you see them as we're testing key resistance, because the market is showing signs of some bearishness here as we go into the trading day. So all stuff to keep in mind. Let me slide this over here where I usually have it. All right, now let's get to some trade plan recaps. And I should have already had these set up before we got started. My apologies. And what did we have? ACHR. Okay. So let's work through some of these live stream plans from last Tuesday. We did app on last Tuesday's live stream. App has literally stayed right inside our range ever since then. Essentially moving sideways for the most part. Rejected that call entry there at 655.61. Now it's trying to catch support down there at the put entry at 616.85. But so far this one's been a no trade on app, just kind of some volatile consolidation. We'll see how it decides to play out. Perhaps we'll get a confirmed entry one way or the other today, possibly a downside entry, is what it's looking like it might be setting up for. So things to keep in mind and keep on watch there on app. Hive is breaking to the downside, playing out, heading toward PT1. What's up, History Buff? Good to see you. ACB, I'm sure we'll try to take a look at that. Thanks for joining on our YouTube stream. So Hive is playing out to the downside. Like I said, we got our confirmed break below last Friday. It's rejected the 200 SMA as it's crossed below the 333, so showing some real signs of bearishness here on Hive, and looks to be heading toward put PT1 there at $4.72. So keep an eye on that to start locking in some profits if you did take this as a short play, and continue to move your stops up as those targets are reached. And then ACHR, we also, no, that was a couple of Tuesdays ago. All right, well, let's dig into some new trade plans then. Oh, what's up, Ryan? It's okay, man. It's good to know that you're into history. All right. So let's get to some of these new ticker requests this morning. I know we didn't have a lot of recaps. That's because we didn't have a Thursday live stream last week. Again, I appreciate everybody's patience as I knocked out some of these follow-up appointments for my recent neck surgery. So let's dive in. We had a new trader wanting to take a look at ASST and beyond. All right, ASST is a name that I've heard people talking about quite a bit. It's not one that I've ever personally charted. And what did Strive engages in the asset management, Bitcoin? It's an interesting line of business. So my quick take on what's up, Chris? Good morning, brother. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Also, good morning to anybody else who's jumped in since I did my first round of good mornings. Gardel, Super. I'm guessing that's Super Saiyan Cairo. Good morning to you guys. Yeah, it's been a while. What do you got, Chris? What do you want to take a look at? You've always got the GOAT picks for analysis. But quick thoughts on ASST here. Looking at the hourly chart, I would like to see it get over this 333 SMA. The 200 is starting to curl up. We do have a bullish flag. but that 333 SMA seems to be acting as pretty strong and clear resistance right now. So if you want really good confirmation on ASST potentially opening some upside, I'd say I'd want to see it get over 139, call it 140 if you want. If it can get over that, yeah, actually I see it now. If it can get over that, be looking for 181. And then 210. And ultimately, yeah, I'd be looking for 241-ish. And if you need a stop loss on this, I'd set it right here at $1.12. So let's lock this into the trade plan pilot and get my words out. I think I need some more coffee. It's clearly the issue. Whoops. So we're looking for a break over 139 to take us to 181 and then on up to 210 and 241. Stop loss average at 112. Calls only. So that's pretty much what it would look like. Let's go ahead and share this in the chats. I'm not going to do a downside trade plan because at $1.12, how much downside do we really have left to try to make money off of? The answer's not a whole lot. All right, let me get this over in the elite chat. And we'll stick this in the trade plan pilot for some alerts. Cool, that's fine. So let's take this to end of trading next Monday. Give it a full 5 trading days there. All right, so again, just talking through this, looking for that break over 139. Targets at 181, 210, and 241 with a stop loss average down at 112. That's how I'd be looking to trade. Oh, I knew I was forgetting something. Almost forgot to lock in our template. So yeah, over 139, looking for 181, 210, and 241. Stop loss average down at 112. Alerts are set. Indicators locked into the template. Let's go. What do we have next? What's up, LB? Good to see you. All right. Adobe, longer term, but like to have some levels from you. Okay, we'll take a look at Adobe for you, Surge. feel like I've charted Adobe before. Yeah, I have. And from our last trade plan we did for it, it's recently rejected the put entry or key resistance there at 363.30. Can tell that by this solid 3 pixel line. That was our stop loss for that downside plan, and PT3 for that downside plan was 332.23. So playing out what I'm guessing is a pretty old plan. Yeah, looks like probably back in July is the last time I took a look at Adobe, and it's caught a lot of bounces actually off of that weekly support there at 332.23. So that's interesting. But let's check in on things. Let's update our levels. Let's make sure everything is Gucci for our friend. Sure, Kira, we'll try to take a look at. Ooh, I don't know. We might want to be careful with Palantir. They just had earnings yesterday. Typically, we want to give things a few days to settle, let that dust settle after an earnings report before we go trying to plan any moves. But I will try to get it in the mix and take a look at it. All right. So let's hide our indicators real quick. Let's see if there's anything else that's jumping out at me on Adobe since the last time we looked at it, which was quite a while ago. This is an interesting weekly level that I would add. Interesting rejection there, but not seeing a whole lot else that would be helpful. And we can add another weekly level below down there. All right, let's move things along here. Kind of looks like they're maybe a near-term downtrend here. We'll take a look at that on the 4-hour chart. I want to see where these wicks are coming from. That's an interesting level right here. Where does that put us? All right, I want to take a look at, yeah, this range down here real quick. Adobe kind of has some, how would I describe this? Murky price action. That's probably the word I'm looking for. Especially on some of these higher time frames. Yeah, that's an interesting level there. All right, let's get to this 4-hour chart. Let's keep rolling. What's up, Thug Baby Yoda? Good to see ya. Hope you're doing well, my friend. All right. I'm kind of eyeballing And again, I could be way off on this. We're going to find out here in a second. Maybe I'm not way off on this. Yeah, it's pretty clear downtrend there. And these kind of weird wicks that don't make a ton of sense. That's why I was saying PA's a little bit murky on Adobe. But that's a fairly clear downtrend, that's for sure. All right, let's take this to the hourly. Let's get our indicators on here. Let's come up with some plans. What should we do? How should we be ready to handle what's to come with Adobe? Well, there's a massive confluence right there at 345.42. But that also doesn't leave a lot of room before we potentially have issues with that downtrend. But there is a potential, and this really depends on a few things, namely the timing of how all this stuff plays out, because I could certainly see Adobe consolidating or perhaps even a downside move before it pushes higher, which could culminate in a break of this call entry there at 345.42 and the downtrend, depending on, again, kind of how long it takes that to play out. But if we can get over 345.42, and if we do it soon enough, or we could potentially get a liquidity sweep and tap 356.57 over that trend line, I think that there's a window of opportunity there, and a pretty decent one. I think there's also a clear PT2 sitting right here at 363.30. And why not take a shot? We should be well in profits. Stop should be in profits by the time we get to PT2. Take a shot at this getting through 369.32 fairly easily. There is potential for things to get hung up there. But 375.17, I think we've got a real shot at as a final upside target before we need to worry about things stalling out. And yeah, stop loss average down for that upside plan I'd have right here at, whoops, let's go 336.77. So stop it. Downside, where does that get interesting? Let's see. Excuse me. I was thinking about downside looking good below 325, but that could be a pretty limited window, profit window. So instead of making that the entry, I'd actually look at that as the stop loss average down. If we can get an entry below 318.77. From there, it's interesting. Yeah, I think this weekly level is actually sitting more like there. And we haven't seen any real tests below anytime recently. So I think if we do lose that key support, Adobe can continue down here to 305.32. So let's figure out our next targets here. Yeah, I'd be watching this. Call it 298. And below that, yeah, right here at about 286.69. All right, so let's bring this to current. Let's get this locked in for Adobe. We're looking for that break over 345.42 to take us up to 356.57, 363.30, and 375.17 with a stop loss average down at 336.77. Downside, we're looking for a break below 318.77. Take us down to 305.32, 298 flat, and 286.69 with a stop loss average down at 325.83. And let's do both. There we go. All right, let's get this chart cleaned up real quick. All right, let's get this locked in here. Here comes your Adobe live stream plan. Yeah, I'll take a look at IREN, Navy Plum. Happy to do that. All right, so there's the Adobe live stream plan. Let me get this published in the Elite chat as well. And let's get our link. And let's lock in our template. And set our alerts. Cool, cool, cool. All right. So, talk through this one last time. Hopefully this is helpful for you there, Serge. What are we looking for on Adobe? We're looking for it to get back over 345.42 to take a shot at testing or perhaps even breaking this downtrend. What's up, K Money? It has been a while. Good to see you back in the mix. I hope you're doing well. We're looking for a break over 345.42, like I said, for a potential test at 356.57. And if we get that test and can push higher, we break that downtrend. And I certainly think that that opens up room then to 363.30 and on up to 375.17. Stop loss average down at 336.77. Downside, we'd be looking for a break below 318.77. There's some key supports there, both at 325.83 and 318.77. So if you're looking for some good buy the dip levels, I'd keep those on watch. Targets, if we do break below 318.77, would be 305.32, 298 flat, and 286.69. Those are your Adobe live stream plans. Let's go. All right, let's see. Adobe Meta from New Trade. Well, we did ASST, New Trader, so I want to try to spread the love here a little bit. Ryan Brown did ask for ACB, which I haven't heard. I'm not familiar with off the top of my head. Brown Foreman tariff repeal play. Let's take a quick look at that. Dell was a banger. Also like APLD. They need to be powered up. Data centers. American superconductors. I remember that one. All right, let's see. It's hitting the put plan now. I think I'd add to it's currently showing valuation off old. Yeah, that's good to know. Thank you, Gardle. Great information as always. All right, so let's see. We had APLD, Dell, but we also have ACB from Ryan Brown. Let's take a look at queue both these up. I'll see if I can't fly through these in the next 15 minutes. ACB. Wait. Aurora Cannabis? I think that's a tariff repeal play, Ryan? I thought I recognized that name. I used to trade this one forever ago. Back when I was like the, MJ stock trader. All right, let's take a look at APLD. Chris, is there one of those that you really like more than the others? Let's take a look at Dell. Dell with a gap down, so gap to fill to the upside. And let's take a quick look at APLD. Gap down there too. A lot of things gapping down this morning. APLD looks quite bearish. All right, let's take a look at AMSC. American Superconductor. Chris brought this one to our attention forever ago. Our call entry was down at 27.67. That's how long it's been. All right, let's clean this up. Let's take a look at it. Chris with the power play. I sound 20. Thank you. I'm twice that and then some. The neck is doing much better, my friend. Thank you very much for checking. This surgery has truly put me back on the right track. I was having what felt like a pretty rough 2025 for a few months there, and I think we're going to finish the year strong. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely life-changing. I was, in constant awful pain all the time, even on painkillers and muscle relaxers and trigger point injections and epidurals. Nothing was really doing the trick. I was starting to lose strength in my left arm. That's when that started to happen, when I wasn't able to essentially like contract my tricep. That's when I said, all right, enough's enough. Time to accelerate this. I want to start exploring surgical options, even though I've put those off for like 10 years. And so I did, and connected with a longtime family friend who just happens to be a neurosurgeon. And I, trust him implicitly in his opinion. I knew he wasn't going to steer me in the wrong direction. He saw me for all of 15 minutes on that initial appointment. He's like, you need to get surgery done and you need to do it quick, or some of this stuff may never come back. Permanent nerve damage. So I was like, okay, yeah, let's go. Let's get it done. And here's the crazy thing, right? Surgery was a game changer, man. It's been awesome. And here's the crazy part about it, right? So they go in through the front of your neck, so through your throat, essentially, to get to those vertebrae back there. And while that sounds like it would be like the most catastrophic way to do it, it was essentially outpatient surgery, which is just wild. That's how far along these, procedures have come using, uh, I guess that would technically be laparoscopic surgery. Perhaps I'm not a doctor, but I think that's what it would be considered. Um, so I went in. My procedure was at, excuse me, 7 a.m. I was home and resting and recovering 2:30 that same afternoon, 2:30 in the afternoon that day. So yeah, they did fantastic. The relief I felt was almost instantaneous. Now there's kind of the body recalibrating for having to compensate for all the pain on one side for so long. And he said total time, like to where I'll feel the maximum benefit and relief from the surgery is about 3 months, but I'm already in way, way, way better shape than I was in for several months there. So yes, thank you for asking. Also, thank you for giving me something to blab about while I work on these levels. If you're ever having neck issues, feel free to reach out. I have all kinds of tips and tricks that will hopefully keep you from needing surgery. But yeah, definitely once you start to lose strength and function and stuff like that, you got to stop messing around. You just got to get that surgery done to avoid any kind of permanent issues. Yeah, I'll send you guys a picture of my sweet scar on my neck right now. It's actually already shrunk a lot, and he said it'll eventually, you won't even be able to see it, but I'm curious if there's a downtrend here. But yeah, that's essentially what happened there, LB. He said slice. But here's the really wild thing. So Halloween, yeah. So I've had C5 through C7, so that's 2 fusions, 2 discs replaced with plates, essentially. So yeah, fusion. Yeah, there's not really, at least not on higher time frame, a clear downtrend there. Let's take a look at this real quick. So the wild thing that happened, and that's not even really a great downtrend, but it's kind of there. So Halloween, I finally all the dressings and bandages and everything came off, so I could see where the incision was and where that scar's kind of hanging out right now. And that also, uncovered a bunch of areas that I really needed to shave and clean up below my jawline. And so I was doing all that, and there was one hair sticking out right beside the scar. Obviously, I wasn't going to try to shave that. So I was like, okay, I'll just pluck that with some tweezers. And so I went to grab it, started pulling on it, and what came out was about a 3-inch long suture that was kind of weird, just slowly pulling that out of my neck while I looked in the mirror. It was kind of wild. Let's see if I can oh wait, here, I can do this. Maybe. Let's see. Yeah, it was kind of wild. It was perfect for that to happen on Halloween though. So it definitely felt like I was in a scary movie. Let's see. Hang on, I'll find this real quick. I know I'm kind of getting a little bit off topic here, but this is kind of wild. So I'm gonna no, it's actually 2025 October. There we go. Oh god, I hate that stupid HEIC files, and I'll post it later. I need to get this plan done. All right. Oh, but I took a picture of that string that came out of my neck. It's wild. It's about as wide as my palm. But it was just a little tiny piece sticking out that was brown, And then as I started to pull that out, it's just a big white string. It's almost like watching one of those, like a magician pull a bunch of scarves out of his hand. That's kind of what it felt like. It just kept coming. All right, so let's get this AMSC locked in here. And then I do need to try to take a look at iron. All right, so this might be a little bit early, so maybe be a little cautious with using this downside entry because we could still potentially find some support on that higher time frame uptrend. I know it looks invalidated there, but we drew it on the 4 hour and we don't have any 4 hour candles closing below it. But below 56.99 could trigger a downside move here. And I think it could take us down to 54.33. And I think that also gives us a good backstop there at 59.22. Risk reward already looks slightly better than 1-to-1 there. PT2 definitely off that recent low that's pushed things up pretty nicely. Third target. It could go as low as 46.48, actually. So get a free runner or two locked in, have your stops and profits by the time we get to 52.17, and then hold some free runners, see if we can get this big reach downside target. I think Iron was, or I think Gardel was responding to my story of pulling a string out of my neck. Which I'm sure it was just a suture that for whatever reason didn't dissolve, but it was definitely an experience. For better or worse. I don't know if it's an experience I recommend, but it was something. Yeah, it's pretty wild. This is kind of a tricky one. Is 70.47 all-time highs on this? I'm guessing it is. Yeah, it's gotta be. Well, I think we can take a shot at that. It does break over 64.22 and gets over that downtrend. So then the question becomes, I know these PTs look a little crazy, but I mean, there's a possibility. It's just, again, really limited price action. You know what? I'm going to take a chance here. I don't want to be too greedy, especially in what's starting to look like a slightly shaky market. Perhaps a little bit overdue for a pullback. So I'm going to adjust those targets. All right, let's lock this in. Then we'll take a quick look at IREN. loss average down. 56.99, 53, 52.17, 46.48. Stop loss average down. 59.22, which is a shared stop loss average down. All right, let's lock this in here. What are we looking for on? I missed a couple. I'll just do it that way. There we go. All right. Here is your AMSC live stream plan. Let's get this over in the elite chat. So what are we looking for here on AMSC? We're looking for a break over 61.94. That should bring targets at 64.77, 67.74, and 70.47. Lots of sevens in the mix there, with a stop loss average down at 59.22. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 56.99. That should bring targets at 54.33, 52.17, and 46.48. With a shared stop loss average down with that upside trade plan there at 59.22. Let me also, almost forgot, number symbol, Tuesday live stream plan 3. Cool. Yes. And let's set our alerts as well. Did I grab that chart link? Let me make sure I did before I do that. Seems chart. All right, we are locked in for AMSC. Let's take a quick look at IREN, like I said I would do. That's for the other chart. So actually, just coincidentally, and I think I might have mentioned this yesterday in the chats. So the last plan we did for IREN, we were looking for a breakover 65.54. Ultimate price target there was at 78.86. On that news yesterday, we actually spiked right up to that and then promptly rejected. And now we're back into that call put entry. So this plan's kind of already set and ready to go. Overall, looks bullish to me as long as it's holding over 61.38. If you're, if you want to have some diamond hands on this, I'd even give it as low as 58.29. But below that, things definitely start to look pretty bearish. But we've got the plan ready. Let's go ahead and lock it in again. There we go. So essentially this one played out rapidly yesterday morning and then gave us a nice pullback. Don't chase the move, catch the back test or the retracement. Excuse me. Boom, just like that. And I do think that this plan is still valid. When did we do that plan last? So the last plan, or the last time we looked at this, was October 7th when we put this plan in place, and then it finally hit all of our upside price targets there. So yeah, let's keep this one going. Where's my Oh, right there. There we go. Don't need that anymore. Let's bring this in so it looks nice. It's good enough. Here comes your IREN live stream plan. Yeah, Ryan, I'm sorry I didn't. I guess I kind of wasn't tracking Brown Foreman as the tariff repeal play, but what's the Brown Foreman ticker? Because you posted ACB, and that's Aurora Cannabis. So that's why. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked a little bit there. All right, let's get this posted in the Elite Xtrades chat. IREN. Copy message link, get that locked in here. Set our alerts. And lock in our template. Wow, we did 4 today. Good comeback day. All right, so just to recap on what we just discussed, what are we looking for here on IREN? We're looking for a break over 65.54. That should bring price targets at 71.48, 74.47, and 78.86 with a stop loss average down at 61.38. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 58.29. That should bring targets at 53.11, 49.32, and 44.85 with a shared stop loss average down at 61.38. Those are your IREN plans. All right, let me try something real quick. Open chat. Yeah, here we go. Oops, nope. There we go. There you go. So that's what came out of my neck. And that little brown piece right there on the tip was the only thing that was sticking out that I could actually see. So I grabbed that with the tweezers and I started pulling, and it just kept coming. It was the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me by a long shot. And I'm just sitting there watching myself do it in the mirror, and I was like, this is like something out of a horror movie. Perfect for Halloween. All right, I've got a few minutes left before market. Yeah, gnarly is right. Super gnarly. BF-A. Ryan, if you want to, are you still on this? Okay, yeah, we'll take a look at it next time. Sure. Remind me, please, on Thursday, and I'll take a look at it. All right, I do have a limited amount of time left. Thanks for letting me gross you guys out with my neck surgery stories. I do need to go get the SPY plan put together, though, so we can get that out close to market open. I appreciate everybody joining me this morning. We will be back Thursday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, friendly reminder, if you haven't done it yet, go to the announcements channel. There's a link there for our monthly survey. Make sure that you go and get those surveys completed. Voting closes tomorrow, I believe. Yeah, please go ahead and get those survey responses in. We love to hear your feedback. It's part of how we gauge our performance across the team here at Xtrades. It's in the announcements channel. Why am I? Let me just get you a message link. Wouldn't that be nice of me? Or the smart thing to do? There you go. That'll take you straight to it. Make sure that you're filling out the surveys for October, and let's make November a great month. All right, I'm going to go get the SPY plan put together. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Come back Thursday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As we always say here on Chart Talk Live, plan your trades, trade your plans, go out there, get some green, keep those wins big, keep the losses small. We're looking for profits, not perfection. Have a great day. I will see you guys Thursday and in the chats in the meantime. Until then, take care, everybody.